How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome to the return of the Monday Night Sports Show. I'm Cameron Evig, filling in for Ethan Bird.
And I'm Madeline Davis, on desk for Rachel Hallam. Tonight to get you caught up on everything going on in CSU sports. CSU men's hoops ended their season down in Frisco, Texas with the NIT. See how they fared in their third-place game against Louisiana Tech.
Brendon recaps a wild free agency period through the NFL.
And we finished the night off by taking a look at what the future looks like for Colorado State's athletic programs.
Don't go anywhere because CTV Sports starts right now.
Over the weekend, the Rams were down in Frisco, Texas, battling it out at the NIT tournament for postseason supremacy. On Saturday morning, the number 1 seeded Memphis Tigers were the matchup, taking them on in the semifinals to determine who would have a chance at a tourney title. Did CSU inch themselves even closer to a championship, or did they fall flat? Let's find out. Moore runs down the court and jumps over Memphis to sink it in for 2. Memphis tries to steal, but Isaiah Stevens says no way as he hits the glass and the ball bounces in. Tigers' DeAndre Williams comes out of nowhere and gets the steal from CSU to inch his team closer to the lead. Moore to Stevens, Stevens to Roddy, who knocks over Jeffries as the ball bounces in. Here he comes. Tigers' Landers Nolly holds nothing back with this huge dunk. Throughout the game, Stevens made several three-pointers, but unfortunately, it was not enough to stop the Tigers' offense. And when the clock struck 0, Memphis took this one in a blowout 90-67, leaving Ram fans everywhere disappointed that they wouldn't get to see the green and gold in the finals. David Roddy and Isaiah Stevens accounted for a majority of the 67 points CSU scored, with 17 and 18 respectively. But it was no match for the Tigers' own dynamic duo and Landers Nolly II and DeAndre Williams, who combined for 48 points for Memphis. With the disappointment fresh in their minds, Coach Medved's squad looked for a much better effort in Sunday's third-place game against Louisiana Tech. Cameron, how did the Rams fare in that one?
Yeah, Madeline, the Rams took on a really physical Louisiana Tech team yesterday, and this one was all about the battle between Tech's star freshman Kenneth Lofton Jr. and CSU's first All-Mountain West guy, David Roddy. Let's take a look at the Rams and Bulldogs battled it out for third place in Texas. Starting this one off, Isaiah Stevens, deep three, Curry range out there, gets that one to go. Another play, Kenneth Lofton Jr. This guy was an issue for the CSU Rams all night. Gets that one to go through the double team. David Roddy, an elbow to the face there. Technical foul on Louisiana Tech. Both free throws made by Isaiah Stevens. Ties this, gets this one really close in the late fourth quarter. David Roddy would come back, as we see right here. 25 seconds, the layup, good to go. Cleared like the ocean blue. 74 all tied up. Lofton in the paint against Roddy. Roddy, good defense. The move by Lofton gets it to go with .3 left. Louisiana Tech takes it with the buzzer beater. And with that last second drive from Tech's 6'7" freak, the squad out of Ruston was able to steal this one from CSU 76-74. Monday show regulars Ethan Bird and Rachel Hallam were there at the Comerica Center to get the full scoop of how it went down. The Rams were up by 11 at one point in the second half. How did CSU let this one slip away, guys?
How's it going, Ram fans? Heartbreak City here for Rams fans and the team as they just lost against Louisiana Tech in the third place game today, 76-74. It was, as I said, a heartbreaker. We're here to tell you all about it and break it down from there. I'm Rachel Hallam.
And I'm Ethan Bird. And it was just, the Rams were winning this game for 37 minutes. Louisiana Tech took their first lead with about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. And it was just, David Roddy was out. He took an elbow to the forehead, so he was out for about 5 minutes. And Louisiana Tech took advantage of that, especially when it comes to Kenneth Lofton Jr.
Yeah, hitting a career high of 27 points and finishing the night with a double-double, his 13 rebounds. He was just a bully under the basket for these Rams, and there was no stopping him at all.
Well, he hit the game-winning layup with 0.3 seconds. It was Kenneth Lofton Jr.'s day. I mean, it was like watching a bowling ball among a bunch of bowling pins whenever he was down in the paint. And it was, I mean, the Rams really didn't have a chance for him, and they didn't really have much of an answer for him. Yeah. And Kenneth Lofton Jr. is really what carried the Bulldogs to this win. You know, the Rams, they finished in 4th place in the NIT, which is, I mean, nobody really even expected the Rams to be playing this deep into March regardless going into this season. So it hurts now, it stings now. You know, they say close only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades, but there's a lot to take out of this season that can be unpacked later.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, we've talked about this multiple times throughout this week, not only this week, but throughout the whole season with the Rams. They're a young team. There's no seniors that are leaving this team. No. So they're going to have this team come back with this experience behind them and going to be able to grow from it. I mean, Niko Medved is one of those coaches. He's going to be able to get this team to where he wants it to be, especially going into next season, and hopefully get them back into the same kind of position in postseason this deep in March.
Yep. Well, I mean, it was a pleasure to be here in Frisco covering the NIT tournament. I know for both you and I, it was a pleasure to cover this CSU basketball team, but unfortunately, the season is over. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to our coverage of just about every game. My name is Ethan Bird.
And I'm Rachel Hallam.
Thanks so much, Rams.
Thanks, Ethan and Rachel. Even with this L, there's one thing I know for sure. This Rams team will be back ever stronger come next season.
Moving on to another presence on the court. On Thursday night, Moby Arena may have looked empty from the outside, but inside, the Lady Rams took on Boise State in some volleyball action. Let's take a look at how that turned out. Sasha Colombo lobs the ball to Sierra Zimmerman, who spikes it to tie it up in the first set. Here, in one of the longest rallies of the match, Zimmerman returns the favor and sets the ball to her teammate Lieber, who taps it over for the win. Zimmerman again with the setup for an aggressive Van Liefde kill that gave the Rams momentum. Colombo gets the dig here, allowing for Groves to put the ball in the hole. After the Broncos' failed attempt at returning the ball, CSU shares a celebration on the court. After that last spike hit the ground, CSU ended up taking the win against 10-3 Boise State 3-1. And the most impressive thing about the W, the Rams were able to get it done without their most dominant player on offense, senior Brianna Runnels. In the vet's absence, Sierra Zimmerman picked up the slack with a season-high 47 assists, while redshirt sophomore Jackie Van Liefde led the way offensively, earning 20 kills. And after the underdog win, CSU shifted their focus to another home match, this time against the Utah State Aggies. Cam, how did that one go?
Yeah, Madeline, on a 2-game winning streak, Rams volleyball looked to make it 3 in a row against a conference rival Utah State on senior night. Let's see how they did in this game. Starting it off as the Rams usually do, Zimmerman to Karina Lieber over the net. Lieber gets that spike to go. Zimmerman, once again, you're going to hear her name a lot throughout this volleyball season. This time to Kennedy as she gets that one to go as well. Zimmerman, another one, this time to Van Liefde. And the last one you're going to see here, Zimmerman, Kennedy, once again, Kennedy Stanford had herself a game in this one. Alyssa Grove gets in on the action as well. And when it was all said and done, Kennedy Stanford and Jackie Van Liefde led the way on offense for CSU with 14 and 13 kills respectively. And most of them were set up from the assists from the setter, Sierra Zimmerman, who set her team up 38 times. All in all, this one was a resounding win for the Rams, who only gave up 33 kills throughout the entire match and led in every single statistical category. Coming away with this 3-1 win against the visiting Aggies after the successful weekend, Coach Hilbert's squad is definitely on a hot streak. We'll have to see if they can keep it up on the road against New Mexico and San Diego State.
Sliding into home plate, CSU softball was down in Albuquerque over the weekend for their series against the New Mexico Lobos to open up conference play. The 3-game series started out strong for the Rams on Saturday with a 3-2 win. The Rams scored 3 runs on 9 hits, led by Ashley Michelena's 3-for-4 day from the dish and Maya Matsubara's 2 hits and 1 run. On the mound, pitcher Jessica Jarecki pitched a complete game with a 131-pitch outing. Later on during the day, though, the script had flipped, with Game 2 going in favor of the Lobos 7-6. A hot start that saw CSU with a 3-0 lead in the opening inning quickly vanished, with the Rams giving up 4 runs on 2 hits and a costly error by third baseman Corinna Gamboa. Even with the late game hole, the Lady Rams were able to respond in the 7th to tie things up at 6 apiece, but it was all for nothing, with the Lobos taking it with a walk-off double after CSU left 2 runners stranded on base at the bottom of the inning. With the heartbreaking loss in their minds, Coach Fisher's squad looked to take the series victory. And by weekend's end, they did just that. Bouncing back on Sunday with an 8-6 dub, Gamboa made up for her error the previous day, leading the way with 5 RBIs and 2 home runs. While Danielle Cerna, who started things off in the pitching department, put in a moonshot of her own. Maya Matsubara also played a big part in the victory, hitting yet another homer for a dominant CSU attack. Ultimately, it was this Rams killer offensive effort that proved to come in clutch for not only a victory, but also a series win. Looking ahead, the Ladies Rams look towards a homestand against Fresno State this weekend, where they aim to best yet another conference rival.
Making jump from the college ranks and into the pros and from the diamond onto the court, the Denver Nuggets lit up Thursday's trade deadline with some moves to propel themselves even further into championship contention. To start the new acquisitions off, Denver brought a familiar face back to the Mile High Stadium, trading for 3-time NBA champ JaVale McGee. For some depth at the 5, giving up Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks to get it done. In my opinion, this is a steal for the Nuggets, who have been lacking the interior defense that Mason Plumlee always brought before moving on to Detroit last offseason. And speaking of former Denver stars that went to the Pistons, wing Jeremy Grant has also left a void behind at forward. It was obvious the first half of the season that the Nugs missed the former Syracuse Orangeman, and Coach Malone's solution was to acquire slam dunk king Aaron Gordon, who comes all the way from down in Orlando. But landing this type of athlete was never going to come up cheap, with the talented big man costing them the longest tenured Nugget Gary Harris and young prospect R.J. Hampton, on top of a first-round pick. And looking at the early impact of this trade, Gordon made his Nuggets debut on Sunday, and he fit right in, dropping 13 points in a 126-102 blowout of the Atlanta Hawks. And after all these additions, one thing's for sure: they'll only be worth it if the Mile High City is finally able to take home an NBA championship in the near future. Well, that's all I've got on Nuggets trade news, but there's also been some player movement in the NFL. Brendon Fairbairn tells you all about that after the break.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
Doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G.
You all right, girl?
You cool?
Bug and dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. CZ awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. I'm Brendon Fairbairn. The NFL offseason is well upon us, and the draft is exactly a month away. So I thought it was as good of a time as ever to give you a rundown on the biggest splash signings in football over the last few weeks. A lot of big-name players found new homes and cashed in big this offseason, but fans have to be asking themselves, which teams found that missing piece to their puzzle to help them become contenders? Here are my top 5 free agent signings, starting off with the defending world champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who re-signed top pass rusher and CSU legend Shaquille Barrett to a huge 4-year, $68 million deal after spending the 2020 on the franchise tag. Head coach Bruce Arians was not kidding about bringing the band back together. With all 22 Super Bowl starters coming back for 2021, the first time in the salary cap era. Barrett had 27.5 sacks over the last 2 years, including a league-leading 19.5 in 2019 and 8 in 2020. He gets to stay in Todd Bowles' defensive system that he broke out in, which is the 3-4 scheme, very similar to what Wade Phillips ran in Denver. He also sets a hard edge in the run game and wins with good hands and a variety of spin moves that he learned from Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. Did the Broncos make a mistake by letting Shaq go in 2018? Honestly, I don't think so. The Broncos got to keep Bradley Chubb, who has such a high ceiling, and Shaquille Barrett was able to go be a starter somewhere else and get paid a lot of money. Best move for both parties. Moving on, my next top free agent signing, it stays right here in Denver. After some long negotiations, Broncos were finally able to re-sign star free safety Justin Simmons to a 4-year, $61 million deal, making him the highest paid safety in NFL history. In my opinion, Simmons deserves every bit of this record-breaking contract for countless reasons. In 2019, he had a 90.7 Pro Football Focus grade with 4 picks and 11 pass breakups. Not the same success this year, but still was very effective with 5 interceptions. But not only is he a ball hawk, but he has the intelligence to read and diagnose plays to help support the run and short passes. That's what puts him ahead of all the other safeties in the league. He has great open field tackling. That's what I love about him. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the biggest safety. He's not built like Earl Thomas, but he will get the job done and get you some tackles for losses. And you can't forget of how much of a great figure he is in the Denver community. Walter Payton, Man of the Year nominee for the Broncos. Glad I get to see him in the Broncos uniform for another 4 years. On to number 3. Kenny Galladay's monster contract with the New York Giants is one I really like for their young offense. And man, did he get paid with a 4-year, $72 million contract. Is this a ton of money for a guy who missed 11 games in 2020? Sure. But let's not act like the Giants were in real need of a number 1 wide receiver, which Gallaudet can be when healthy. He only played 5 games in 2020. He only had 2 touchdowns and 338 yards, but when healthy in 2019, he had 1,190 yards and 11 touchdowns, which he led the NFL. He's a great deep threat, second in the league with catches over 20 yards since 2019, and that says a lot with only playing 5 games last year. He's very physical with speed and can catch those contested balls. He's not built like Julio Jones or A.J. Green, but he can catch those 50-50 balls. That's what makes him a true number 1 wide receiver. He's a good pair to piece with Daniel Jones and their young offense that consists of Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, and Sterling Shepard. I am very excited to see what the New York Giants do moving forward. Moving back into the AFC West, it really seems the Kansas City Chiefs have unlimited money in cap space, landing former Patriots offensive lineman Joe Thuney on a 5-year, $80 million deal to shore up an offensive line that really needs some work. Thuney, very consistent player, never missed a game in his 5-year career, also had 88% pass blocking grade, which is 3rd for O-linemen since 2019. He gets better and better each year. This is a big need for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially watching Patrick Mahomes run for his life in the Super Bowl and only putting up 9 points. And it's also good to note the Chiefs also lost both starting tackles, Eric Fisher, former first-round pick, and Mitchell Schwartz. The good thing about Thuney is he's very versatile. You can move him to tackle if need be. He played tackle in college, so the Chiefs got a steal here, landing one of the best versatile linemen in the NFL. And last, but definitely not least, we head to the NFC West, where future Hall of Fame pass rusher J.J. Watt signed with the Arizona Cardinals for a 2-year, $28 million deal. In my opinion, the Cardinals overpaid a little for Watt, but when healthy, Watt can be a game changer. But we all know how much he struggles with injuries, plus he's well past his prime at age 32. He's had some decline, but still had an 85.5 overall grade via Pro Football Focus and ranked 7th among edge defenders in 2020. He fits very well within their system, and especially well with Chandler Jones, could easily be one of the best pass rushing duos outside of Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, of course. They also have Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, and Jordan Hicks. This defense is going to be absolutely lethal, especially with their pass rush, and the Cardinals know they need that. They're in a division that consists of Matthew Stafford, that could pick you apart from the pocket, Russell Wilson, and now possibly Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, due to the Niners trading to that number 3 spot from the Miami Dolphins. So it's so important to be able to rush the passer, especially when you have Kyle Murray holding his weight on offense with DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. Even while I have some doubts, I think JJ can be a major difference maker for a Cardinals team that looks to reach that next level with a playoff berth. But man, am I fired up to see what all these veteran players bring to their new or old homes who end up being worth these massive deals. This level of excitement is why free agency is my favorite time of the NFL offseason. Next to the NFL draft, of course, which I will be covering this Thursday on my sports show, The Blitz Season 2. But don't go anywhere just yet. When we come back, Madeline and Cam will break down the future prospects for CSU athletics programs.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume, discover new ways to develop great talent, like me.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Although CSU teams have come up a tad short of expectations as of late, these athletic teams based right here in Fort Collins provide plenty to look forward to the CSU faithful. Most importantly, the 2 teams on the Mobile Arena basketball court.
That's right, Cam. And with the men's basketball team not getting it done at the NIT, fans surely expected more from Coach Medved's young, talented squad, a group without a single senior on the roster. And although the team doesn't have any seniors and just experienced postseason play for the first time in a while, it does have 2 underclassmen leading the way. In star guard Isaiah Stevens and All-Mountain West pick at forward David Roddy. So with all this production returning, can CSU host a Mountain West Championship trophy for the first time since 2003? I mean, at the end of the...
No, yeah, Madeline, I do think that they have a shot to get there next season. Isaiah Stevens averaging 15.3 points a game for this squad. Roddy at 15.9, almost 16 for David Roddy, that forward in the middle. 9.4 rebounds per game as well. Would not be surprised to see Roddy average that double-double next year. Somebody like Kendall Moore for me, though. Kendall Moore is going to be that X factor on this squad. If he's able to continue to hit those corner threes, continue to play well, get his shooting percentages just a little bit up to take some of that pressure off of Stevens and Roddy, I could see this Rams team going pretty far.
I totally agree. I think that there's a lot of potential there, and I know that Roddy also had his numbers were higher in like league play than they were against everybody else. So that's
important.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the men fell just short of their goal of getting to the NCAA tournament, and for the Lady Hoopers of CSU, this season ended in similar fashion.
That's right, Madeline. And losing their leading rebounder and leading scorer, Laura DeVos, it's going to be tough for her. But she graduates the Rams squad. But look no further. McKenna Hofschild and Carly Murphy to step up to for the squad in the face of Laura's departure. These 2 players are the players that I think are going to be the future of Ram athletics. Although Carly Murphy didn't have the best season last year, it's hard to shine in that forward position when you have such a good player like Laura DeVos. I think although Laura leaving is obvious negative for the CSU Rams squad, Carly Murphy will have more opportunities to shine, play well in that post area. Also, just getting set up from the fantastic play of McKenna Hofschild. CSU Lady Hoopers have a lot to look forward to, and I think they could even get a bid next year.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think, definitely you have to talk about McKenna Hofschild.
Yeah.
She had the highest average of points at 13.4.
Yeah.
And then she also had the most playing time, and you don't get playing time if you're not a good player.
Yeah, an absolute anchor for that Rams squad for sure. Leading the way in assists as well. Somebody like Tori Williams, though, 11.6 points, as Kendall Moore is for the men. Tori Williams for the woman. She has to be somebody to get those shots up, make those shots, and be a little bit more consistent, and she's the X factor for this women's squad.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Ram fans, that's all we have for tonight. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at CTV_11 to keep up with everything happening on campus. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 for your regularly scheduled Tuesday night news show. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.